When you're scroll sawing, blade selection is very important, and there is an overwhelming array of sizes and styles to choose from. In this video, we'll go over some of the blade styles available, and then how to tension and set them up on the saw. A blade's main characteristic is its size, usually referred to with a number. Smaller number, smaller blade. Here are number 2, 5, 7, and 12 blades side by side. Smaller blades have more teeth per inch, or TPI, and are suited for cutting thin material and very fine detail. Larger blades have fewer teeth per inch for cutting thicker stuff faster. I do a lot of my cutting in quarter to half-inch thick hardwoods like maple or walnut, and a number 5 blade is usually my go-to general-purpose blade for stuff like that. If you're cutting 1-inch thick material, you might go up to a number 7 or larger. And if you're cutting 1/8-inch thick material, you might go all the way down to a minuscule 2/0 blade. I'll put a link in the description to some sort of chart to give you a starting point for selecting a blade. The other half of the equation is the style or tooth arrangement. Again, lots of these to choose from, but here are some of the more common ones you'll probably see. Standard blades have a row of evenly spaced teeth. They cut smoothly, but don't clear dust quite as efficiently as other types. Skip tooth blades have a gap between each tooth to clear sawdust, and that helps keep the blade from overheating. Overheated blades are prone to dulling and breaking. There are double tooth blades which have 2 teeth then a larger gap for a slower but smoother cut. Reverse tooth blades have their teeth pointing downwards like normal, except on the lower portion where the last few teeth point up. This gives you a cleaner edge on the underside of the piece since the blade is also cutting on the upstroke. Reverse tooth blades are my personal preference. The last kind I'll mention are spiral blades. These are basically blades that have been twisted around, giving them a cutting edge on every side. You can work without spinning the piece, but they can be a little harder to control, especially on straight lines or long, smooth curves. Blades are either pinless, meaning they have plain, flat ends, or pinned, meaning they have little nubs that stick out from the ends to hold it in the saw. Some saws can only use one or the other, some can use both. If you have a choice of saw, go for one that takes pinless blades. They're more common and available in more sizes and styles. You can also fit them into smaller holes for pierce cutting, whereas pin ends require larger holes to fit through. So what blade should you use? Well, I can't answer that. This might seem unhelpful in a video about scroll saw blades, but the main takeaway here is that no one can tell you the exact blade that's best for you. That's something that just comes from personal experience. There are still many other types out there that I didn't mention earlier. Crown tooth, double skip, modified geometry, and then the whole scale of sizes. It just goes on and on. Your main consideration will be the thickness and hardness of the wood you're cutting. Pick a blade. For example, I said I usually go for a number 5 blade as kind of a default. If it seems like it's really struggling to cut, then go up a size or 2. And if it's cutting just way too fast or too roughly, then go down a couple sizes. At the end of the day, it just comes down to trying things and figuring out what works for you. You'll want an assortment of blades on hand anyway, so get a variety, some small, some large, different styles, and see what you think. Over time, you'll zero in on a few favorites, and then you'll know exactly what to reach for based on whatever it is that you're cutting. And even if you've already been scroll sawing for a while, it never hurts to experiment and try something new. Alright, we've selected a blade, now we need to get it into the saw. The blade has to be installed with the cutting edge facing out towards you and the teeth pointing down towards the table. If you're using really tiny blades, you can run your fingers along it to feel what way the teeth are facing. With reverse tooth blades, make sure the short section of reverse teeth is down at the bottom. With the tension at 0, clamp in one end and then the other. And don't crank these down as tight as you can. You just need enough pressure to hold it in place. Now we need to bring it up to tension. This will vary from blade to blade, but you want it to make a nice, clear, high-pitched ding when you pluck it. If you give it too much tension, it might just snap. Not enough tension, and it'll deflect while cutting, giving you wonky edges, and it might also possibly bend and break. One thing I like to do is put a label on the saw so I don't forget what kind of blade I have installed. You'll want to check that the blade and table are at 90 degrees to each other. You can do this by bringing the blade up to tension and then sliding a square in next to the blade. Visually examine it for a gap at the top or bottom and adjust accordingly. Then, to be totally sure, find a piece of wood an inch or two tall and cut into it just a little bit. Then bring it around to the rear of the blade. If everything is square, the blade should slot right into the kerf you just cut. You want to be sure you're using a good, sharp blade all the time. Dull blades cut slower and create more friction. This causes them to overheat or burn the workpiece. But when should you change? When you can feel that you have to really push the wood into it instead of just letting it cut, it's time for a new blade. Scroll saw blades need to be changed pretty frequently. When you've figured out a couple types that you really like, buy a bunch of them in bulk and you'll be set for a while. That should help you make some sense of the many blade options available for scroll sawing. Try as many types as you can, and you'll be a pro at blade selection in no time. Thanks for watching.